still haven't travelled out here. What's the situation with Mason Mount? Because he got a knock the other week, but he's still not available.
Take a little bit longer as we expected. It's true, but I think he will be back soon.
10 players missing for this game, but are you still confident of getting a positive result tomorrow night?
Yes, of course. The players who are available have to do the job, and we are capable. They are capable to do the job.
Eric, we were speaking to Jose Mourinho earlier, and he said it would be Man United against 35,000 Fenerbahçe fans. How much of a test is it for your team to come through that kind of environment, that kind of hostility, particularly without Bruno in the team tomorrow?
Yeah, I think we have enough players in the team. They are so experienced, so our team is experienced. We faced such situations more often. So yeah, I think we're looking forward. It will be great ambience. That's fuel for the team. It's a really challenge, really so motivation, and yeah, it's really good for us.
Sorum Erik Teneg'e olacak. Manchester United'ın Avrupa Kupalarındaki son başarısı Jose Mourinho ile gelmişti. Bu sebeple yarın Mourinho'nun Fenerbahçe'sine karşı oynayacak olduğu karşılaşmada farklı bir motivasyonları olacak mı? Teşekkürler.
Oh, in Europe, yeah, but yes, that's true. So we won domestic cups after he left, but we didn't. Man United didn't win in Europe, and it's also for us is a target what we want to achieve, and yeah, we have a big opportunity this season. But therefore, of course, we have to qualify. We have to win games. It's in a new setup. We are now 2 games underway. Yeah, we have 2 points, so we know what to do. We have to win games.
Hi, Christian. Good to see you. In your first season under Erik ten Hag, you played so many games in that starting midfield at Manchester United, and in the second season, not so much so. This season, you're starting to get some great form. You've scored some good goals. You've been contributing to the team really well. What have you put that down to, and how happy are you to now be playing again in the Manchester United midfield?
No, yeah, I think every season is different. I think some seasons you're playing, some seasons you don't. And obviously with the injuries I had, was a bit in and out at the time in the last 2 seasons, but I've always been available when I'm fit. And of course, like you said, I enjoy playing for United in midfield, definitely. Of course, as a player, you want to play as much as possible, but in the end it is a manager who takes the decisions on who's playing, and you do your best when you can.
How difficult it is, depending on what tactical setup we've had. So on the weekend, we're in a 4-4-2. We like to deploy a 4-2-3-1. For you, do you feel you're best as a 6, as a number 10, as a number 8? Where are you most comfortable in that midfield?
First, you know our tactics, or 4-4-2? Yeah, like it. I think for me it doesn't matter what system you're playing. I think every game is different. I think every game you're going to see a so-called 4-2-3-1, 4-4-2, 4-5-1. You're going to see all of it, I think, in times on the game and in the game, but I'm just happy where the ball is.
Eric, one of the criticisms that Jose Mourinho levelled at United when he left the club was that they weren't considered an elite European team any longer. That hasn't really changed. Why do you think you found it so difficult to win games in Europe, and how close are you to getting them back to that elite level?
This season we just started. We have 2 draws. First season, I think we won a lot of European games. So last season, obviously, it was for domestic and also in Europe. It was a difficult journey, but we are confident. We're confident we are capable to do this, to win games, and in the Premier League and in Europe.
Christian, have you played in Turkey before? And is the atmosphere here different to most other places? Every game that I've been to here, the atmosphere before the game, for a long time before the game, is quite intense.
Yeah, I have played in Turkey. It's a lot of years ago with Denmark with national team against Turkey, so I know what it's like to play in Turkey. But obviously, I missed Galatasaray last season, where I think we saw close by how the atmosphere could be, and I think the Fenerbahçe game tomorrow will be very similar. But like the coach said, I think we enjoy playing in these environments, and I think when you, after a few minutes of the game has been going on, I think just continue playing football. And yeah, it's nice that people are following it and giving it a bit of a good atmosphere at the same time.
Sorum Erik Teneg'e olacak. Trabzonspor, Çiğdem Günal. İstanbul'a hoş geldiniz hocam. Geçtiğimiz sezon sonunda takımınızı FA Cup zaferine taşımıştınız. Ama bu sezonki biraz kötü olan başlangıcın ardından biraz eleştirilerin odağı olmuş durumdasınız. Fenerbahçe'de de istediği gibi çok iyi bir başlangıç yapamadı. Dolayısıyla Mourinho da bu ara biraz eleştirilir durumda. Bu maçın hem sizin için hem teknik direktör Mourinho için kritik bir öneme sahip olduğunu düşünüyor musunuz? Teşekkür ediyorum.
Yes, and Mourinho and I, we won a lot of trophies in the last years. But you have to prove yourself every year, and when you don't win, we are always under criticism. And we know that we are experienced enough. Professional football is about winning games. When you don't win games, then the criticism is coming. But in the end of the day, we know also it's about how you are in the end of the year. And Mourinho is so experienced, he will lead his team to his best form and will be successful, and so we will be. We are convinced that we are in the right direction, that we follow the right path, and we will achieve what our targets are.
Sorum hocaya olacak. Öncelikle Türkiye'ye hoş geldiniz. Mourinho bugün basın toplantısında Manchester United ve Tottenham'ın Avrupa Ligi'nde favori iki takım olduğunu söyledi. Siz Fenerbahçe hakkında ne düşünüyorsunuz?
Our Fenerbahçe is very good team with a lot of good players. We know some. Fred, long time at Manchester United, very experienced. We won with him the Carabao Cup. Sufyan Amrabat, we won with him the FA Cup, very experienced, also very good in World Cup. Dusan Tadic had a long history with him at Ajax, won also a lot of trophies with him. So they have so many experienced and good players, and they have an experienced coach. So yeah, this is a very good place. We will not underestimate them, but also not overestimate them, and we have to play our own game. As we said, we love to play in this environment. We're really looking forward, and we're always looking forward against good teams, because therefore we became professional footballer to go for these challenges.
Christian, following the match against FC20, you spoke and you said it wasn't right for Manchester United to not have the same desire as the FC20 players. Have you noticed a shift in the spirit and the mentality in the dressing room since that game?
Yeah, I think I have. I think the confidence obviously is a big part. I think when you draw, when you lose, I think the confidence is down a bit. And I think also when I spoke at the time was probably here at the moment after you felt like you were winning the game and you lost, or you felt like you lost, but it was a draw obviously. But I think since I do feel like the group is getting together, and yeah, we played some good games since, and obviously we want to win every game possible. And when you play at United, I think it's the aim, and that's what we're going to go for no matter what.
Do you still want to play here next season? I know obviously your contract is up at the end of the season, and there's talks that you might be leaving. Would you still want to play at Manchester United next season if the contract was there?
Yeah, more or less it's not really up to me. When my contract runs out, I think it's up to the club and the position. But no, I really enjoying my time. I have done for the last 3 years, and I still do. So when the summer comes, I think if the offer is there from them, I'll definitely take it serious.
Thank you.
Eric, as already been mentioned, you're missing quite a few players for tomorrow night's game. But this is a competition that offers a route back into the Champions League. How complicated is it for you to juggle or attack this competition, given the injury situation?
It is complicated, but it is never easy. That you know on forehand, and we have to deal with it, and we will deal with it as a team. We have to cover many games in a short time, and yeah, we will do that the best as possible. We have to progress. I think we made a good step, and now we have to follow up tomorrow, and then we have to go again on Sunday. But yeah, players like to play football instead of do training, and so for the players, is this the best? It's the best way it is. So many games coming up, and as team is also an advantage. As long as you have players available enough, then that you can construct a team and that you don't have to go into big risk, injury risk, then it's the best to play games. And at this moment we are still okay, but yeah, we hopefully we don't get many more injuries, because then we will be short.
I don't see any reason for Man United to be afraid of Fenerbahçe. But I think they know it's not an easy game for them. If they think it's easy, if they come thinking that it's going to be easy, I think it's the wrong approach. And unfortunately for us, I don't think that will be the approach. I think they know that the game can be difficult for them, and that they will come with maximum strength. I don't think they are going to make rotations to save players for the next weekend match, if I'm not wrong, against West Ham. I think they will come full strength. That's what I would do.
Do you think Manchester United have changed since you left? Do you think they've got better or worse? Why do they keep having problems?
Honestly, I didn't lose 1 minute thinking about it. I wish the best to Man United since the moment I left. I left with a good feeling to the club, with a good feeling to the fans, and I want the best for them. So if things are not going amazingly well for them, it's not something that makes me happy. But at the same time, I have no time, and doesn't make sense for me to be thinking about what happened, what didn't happen. What happened for sure, because it's very objective, is that they keep faith in the coach. They support the coach. The coach is staying season after season, and that means stability, means trust, and they are giving him conditions to keep developing his job. That was a difference in relation to me, because as you know, we won Europa League. We finished second in the Premier League. I think we still have a chance to win that league, because maybe they punish Man City with points, and maybe we win that league, and they have to pay me the bonus and give me the medal. To get a point in Porto is not easy for anybody. And we also played against Twente. Of course, the world expect Man United to beat Twente, especially at Old Trafford. But it was a difficult game. What I can say is that one thing are the results that Manchester United is having, and another thing is the potential of the team. Potential of the team is high, and if I have to say now which are the two biggest candidates to win Europa League, I think it's easy. Man United and Tottenham. It's easy. Premier League is a different level of quality, is a different level of intensity, is a different level of pace, is a different level of tactical culture, is a different level of everything. So I think tomorrow we are going to play against one of the two strongest teams.
Jose Mourinho, John, Fenerbahçe up against United in the Europa League on Thursday. Brilliant storyline, isn't it? And the greatest man ever to set it up once again. As Jose here in the sun, I could still win title with United. This is harkening back to United finishing second in 2018. Manchester City, of course, the runaway champions, but they face these allegations, which City deny. John, first and foremost, how good was it to have Mourinho back? Have you missed these kind of grandstanding press conferences?
Oh, absolutely, Teddy. Honestly, he's a media darling. He's a media favourite simply because he always delivers, doesn't he? With barb comments, you know, that sort of cheeky grin that he's got on his face. He knows exactly what he's doing when he stands in front of that press conference and delivers, you know, little nuggets and sort of throwaway lines. Fantastic. I'll tell you what, he takes front and centre today, doesn't he? The press conference, the pre-match, is almost as big as the match, frankly. You absolutely had to be there to kind of really sort of sense and kind of take in that Mourinho energy. And he kind of almost pays your money, it takes your choice, really, because, you know, he was talking about possibly coming back to the Premier League one day, wasn't he? Saying that Man United backed Erik ten Hag in the summer, but they didn't back me, with a bit of a quip there. But the most eye-catching one, and sort of which has made most back pages, was his remarks about, I might yet get a medal, a Premier League winners medal from Man United if Manchester City, facing those 115 charges, which we always point out at this stage, they completely deny any wrongdoing and are adamant that they will prove their innocence on that one. But if they were stripped of titles, then he would then stand to gain a title from the United finishing second, runners-up to the City in 2018. What still makes me laugh about that season was, you might remember this one. This one was the one that Jose Mourinho did, despite winning absolutely so much in a trophy-laden career, he counted as one of his best successes in his career, for leading Man United into second place in the Premier League that season, if you remember. So he's still obviously probably still smarting about it, still smarting about how his exit played out. And he couldn't resist a little, you know, dig sort of at his former employees, and I guess sort of kind of a rival as well in City. You know, Mourinho is gold dust, absolutely unmissable all the time.
Yeah, it won't go sort of unmissed, will it? It's the former Barcelona head coach, Pep Guardiola, who's there, and that rivalry goes back some way, Rieth, doesn't it? We've got a history with Mourinho, and he reflected on it there. Back page of the Times, we saw United would owe me medal. Mourinho wants bonus if City punished over financial breaches. He prepares to face former club. Rieth, does it make you reflect on his time at Manchester United, what we've seen since Sir Alex Ferguson, the 11 years? He was quick to point out, of course, today that he won the Europa League for the club, and he didn't even mention winning the League Cup. Do you think that perhaps we underappreciated what he was able to achieve in the culture that followed Fergie?
I certainly wouldn't say for the resources that he spent at United, and I apply this to many of the managers who've come in there since Ferguson left. But the money he spent, with the record Mourinho's got, I certainly wouldn't argue that he's overachieved, but it has been shown in a kind of light, perhaps. And I think we'd say the same for a number of them, going right back to David Moyes. But there was one thing he said today which did amuse me slightly, when he said he hadn't spent even a minute thinking about how United have changed, what their fortunes have been on the pitch since he left. I don't buy that for a second. Mourinho is this sort of Machiavellian figure of football. You can well imagine him spying on all of his ex-clubs, tracking them, monitoring, seeing if they moved on without him. I don't buy that. I don't buy that for a second when he says he hasn't been following it. But I agree with what John's saying there as well. Anytime you see Mourinho, he's box office, and I've written countless times. I imagine most of us have, how tiresome it can be when the milk's really turned sour with Mourinho at a club, and the sort of toxicity's pouring out of him week to week, and he does so many absolutely objectionable things. And I find myself, a few months after he leaves the country, you catch a clip of him on TV such as today, and you think, you know what, wouldn't it be a lot more fun if he was back and he was still around? He really does. He's still, for all of his many failings, he does ooze a charisma which is unlike absolutely anyone else in football, until the day perhaps Zlatan Ibrahimovic becomes a manager.
It certainly gives us something to talk about. Yeah, we'll look forward to that. Let's talk about...
So Thursday sees Manchester United travel to Istanbul in the Europa League to come face-to-face with Jose Mourinho's Fenerbahçe. Now, obviously, Mourinho, former Man United manager, didn't leave Old Trafford on the best of terms. He hasn't had the best of starts in Turkey. His side currently sit fourth in the table after 8 games, 8 points off top spot, albeit with a game in hand, on leaders Galatasaray, their big Istanbul rivals. Now, Rob, ahead of this game, you went to Istanbul recently to watch the Intercontinental Derby, the game where East meets West, Asia meets Europe, to find out a little bit more about how Jose's been taken in Istanbul. what was the atmosphere like, and what's the situation with Jose?
Well, I mean, first off, he's still the same. You just mentioned there that Fenerbahçe Galatasaray game is one of the most heated rivalries in world football. It doesn't need a lot to set it off. Everyone else in Turkey ahead of the game seemed really intent on trying to calm things down, and then Jose's in the media the week before saying that Turkish referees favour Galatasaray and that Victor Osimhen dives too much and that referees should watch out for it during the game. Really just intent on pouring petrol on the flames, really, and in that kind of typical Jose style. Aside from that, I mean, the Fenerbahçe are obviously delighted that he's there. He's still got that status, that aura that we all know from covering the Premier League. The problem really is that he just hasn't got the tools and the players that he once had. Those great teams that he had at Chelsea, Real Madrid, Inter Milan were full of really top class players. And really, for Jose to move to Turkey is a massive step down for him. I wouldn't call it kind of a footballing backwater, but it's close. In terms of the way that UEFA rank leagues, Turkey is 10th, behind the Czech Republic and Belgium. They haven't got a representative in this season's Champions League phase. This really is Jose at the kind of the bottom of the ladder, really. I think he's hoping that he can kind of drag Fenerbahçe to the Turkish title. It's obviously, one of two teams who can probably win it. So there is a chance that he can do that, get back in the Champions League, and maybe just add a bit more shine to his reputation and hope that results in another step back up into one of Europe's top 5 leagues. But, you just alluded to there that his start of Fenerbahçe has been okay. It's not been fantastic. The Galatasaray game really was a massive setback. A lot of Fenerbahçe's fans saw that game as an early opportunity for Mourinho really to show, that he's still got his Midas touch and he can, take Fenerbahçe above Galatasaray and win the title. And really, they were played off the park for most of the game. They were 2-0 down inside 30 minutes, lost 3-1. It was interesting. A lot of Fenerbahçe fans, walking away from the stadium that night were really in a little bit of a sense of disbelief. They really didn't see that coming with Mourinho as their manager. It's a shame, really. I think Mourinho, he has still got that status, and it's a little bit sad is possibly the wrong word, but to see him at Fenerbahçe trying to kind of like scrabble around for results and trying to just sort of maintain that aura that he's always had. Obviously, that Man United game is a chance for him to show that he's still got it in the big games. And it's interesting, you speak to people around Man United that even though they should beat Fenerbahçe really comfortably, given the players they've got, they still know that it's Jose. He's got that touch in big games. There is still a little bit of a worry about what he's going to say about Man United in the pre-match press conference. So he has still got that something. It's just that he's having to start again in a league that perhaps he thinks he's too big for.
I mean, he's 61 now, and I think his last 4 jobs, so you've got Roma, United, Chelsea, and probably Real Madrid. I think they all, and Tottenham obviously as well, ended with the sack. And I think, progressively each job got worse in the sense that he didn't deliver anything tangible apart from 2 trophies at United in 2017. So, we all remember Jose arriving at Chelsea. It's 20 years ago. The special one was 20 years ago, and he looks like he's, he had that great charisma at the time, and he was the future, wasn't he? Until Pep Guardiola came along, and then somebody wants, he was the future once, and it was Pep. And I think Jose didn't really move with the times that Pep did, and this new wave of managers came along and coaches that, followed the Pep route with, progressive football from the back, and Jose stuck to his old kind of way of playing. But I do wonder at times where you look at Carlo Ancelotti. He was at Everton 3-4 years ago, and again seemingly Napoli, Everton, seemingly kind of on the way down. Then he just got his route back to Real Madrid, and all of a sudden he's Carlo Ancelotti again. He's winning Champions Leagues again. For what you know about from both of you, I mean, James, you work with Jose, I guess, at Chelsea and at Tottenham and Robert United. Does he have that in him to be Jose again at a big club, or has it gone now? Is he now just kind of going progressively down the chain of clubs, or does he have a Carlo Ancelotti job still in him?
I don't think so. I don't see a route back to the top for Mourinho from this position, just simply because I think he's too set in his ways, and really his ways have become, when he was at the vanguard really of football, as you say, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, maybe 10 years ago. Now it just feels as though his methods are a bit antiquated. I mean, you mentioned Tottenham. I have it on fairly good authority that had it not been for COVID, Mourinho probably would have been sacked long before he actually was, because obviously when COVID came in 2020 and sort of shut football down for a few months, Spurs were in a bad place. They were struggling. They'd lost a lot of players to injuries, and the mood in the camp was really, really bad. But obviously, COVID was something that none of us had experienced before. It was sort of a reset for everybody, and clearly it just shifted everyone's focus away from football to life and death and much more important things than that. So he had time then to kind of sort of reframe, reset, get those players back fit, and then in Project Restart, Spurs actually looked pretty good because they got those players available. And also, of course, because the fans weren't allowed back in the stadium, they weren't really able to voice the discontent at the football, because the football was terrible. It was really turgid. It was defensive, and it was solely reliant on Harry Kane and Heung-min Son being, absolutely deadly clinical. Like, I can remember that the numbers around that time, that Kane and Son in particular were just outperforming their XG and their XA. It was ludicrous. It was unsustainable, and as it ultimately proved. But there was a time when Spurs looked very, very good under Mourinho, and it was because they were well drilled, they were defensive, and then Kane and Son, or both, one or the other, took their chance and they won a game 1-0, 2-0, and those two were just combining in that way that we know that they can do, and they did for so many years at Spurs. But ultimately, it was this shtick, and as soon as that ran out, as soon as there were issues with it, as soon as the fans got back in the stadium and started to realise, actually, this isn't great to watch, and really the only thing to recommend him is winning, and when it's not there, it's very difficult to engender any faith in him, I think.
I mean, Rob, just going back to his time at United, when he left, somebody told me at the club that Solskjaer coming in was the anti-venom, because it ended so badly under Mourinho that he had no allies left. The players had lost faith in him. The coach had lost faith in that. Certainly people above him, the Ed Woodward and the directors had run out of patience with him. And it was kind of prolonged end, wasn't it? I mean, remember the summer tour, I think, whatever year it was, it seems 2018. I think that it was toxic. And I think that's what happens with Jose towards the end, isn't it? Wherever he is, it just gets messy, it gets nasty, and you can kind of trace a Mourinho managerial kind of reign with starts well, people start talking about what a great character he is, they get organised, and then it gets nasty. He falls out with players, he falls out with the owners, and as you said before, Fenerbahçe in Turkey, it's volatile, and you can see the same happening again, just on a much quicker scenario.
Comparing Erik ten Hag's Manchester United tenure to Jose Mourinho's. In examining Erik ten Hag's time at Manchester United, it's hard not to draw parallels with Jose Mourinho's era. Both managers have brought trophies to Old Trafford, a feat that has become increasingly elusive, yet both have left fans feeling anxious about the club's trajectory. While ten Hag's tenure is still ongoing, he must see significant improvements in performances and results to avoid facing a similar fate as Mourinho. So, how closely do their records align? Winning record. To provide a fair comparison, let's look at their first 2 seasons at the helm. Mourinho managed 120 games, achieving 74 wins with a win percentage of 61.7%. In contrast, ten Hag has played 6 fewer matches, securing a win rate of 59.1%. However, the resilience of each squad tells a different story. Under Mourinho, the team lost only 21 matches and recorded 25 draws. Ten Hag's side, however, faced defeat 31 times and managed just 15 draws. Mourinho's more defensive strategy may not have always thrilled fans, but it certainly made United a tougher opponent. Goal difference. Mourinho's tactical acumen is evident in the goal statistics. His team scored 206 goals while conceding just 86, resulting in a remarkable goal difference of 120. In comparison, Ten Hag's side has allowed a staggering 156 goals over 2 seasons, leading to a goal difference of only plus 151. Notably, the 2023-24 season alone saw United concede 87 goals, more than Mourinho's entire 2-year total. For Ten Hag to secure his position, shoring up the defence must be his top priority. Trophies. Despite the criticism surrounding Mourinho's tenure, he remains the last manager to win a European trophy for United, clinching the Europa League in 2017 against Ajax, coached by Ten Hag at the time. He also secured the Community Shield and the EFL Cup during his first season. Ten Hag's trophy haul mirrors this to some extent. He won the EFL Cup in his debut season by defeating Newcastle. Although his second season resulted in United's lowest ever Premier League finish and an early Champions League exit, he did manage to lift the FA Cup after a memorable victory over Manchester City. Style of play. When it comes to style, Mourinho was known for his disciplined approach, often prioritising results over flair. Fans could expect a pragmatic game plan focused on grinding out victories rather than showcasing attractive football. In conclusion, while both Erik Ten Hag and Jose Mourinho have had their successes at Manchester United, the challenges and criticisms they face reveal significant differences in their managerial styles and outcomes. As Ten Hag continues his journey, only time will tell if he can carve out a legacy that stands alongside or surpasses that of his predecessor.